Hey, welcome. We're going to bring you a little bit of a really simple spaghetti alla puttanesca. And as simple as it sounds, it's spaghetti. We're just going to cook that spaghetti, salty water to make sure that water's nice and salty. I've just got that boiling. That's almost ready to go. I'm just going to salt that, a little bit of salt in that, because this is quite a salty meal in terms of the olives, the onions, capers, anchovies as well. I've got some anchovies. These one we got from a little supermarket overseas. These are very salty already, so you've got a lot of salt in that. Parmigiano on top as well. Lots of salt that's going to bring this flavour together, and it really is a very simple dish. So what I'm going to do is just bring a couple of these things all together in terms of in the heat on the pan. So the oil, so if I get you to pop around here, camera crew, just get that going there. A little bit of olive oil in there. Again, don't overdo the oil in this, because there will be lots of it. I'm just going to bring a couple of these things in all together. That's starting to warm up already. So I want some onion. That's traditionally, it doesn't have onion, but I like that kind of Spanish red onion. It gives a little bit of crunch and flavour as well. So a couple of these other things in. Now I've chopped up some Mediterranean olives and some Kalamata olives in there. You could keep them whole, but just chop them up because they've got some kind of spice in them already. So that there, a couple other things. I'll get some oil left over from that. I'll just put that in as well. I'm chopping up those olives, and this just becomes the base of the sauce. Now capers, I'm going to put some capers in there, kind of about three sort of tablespoons of capers, really salty. You could have washed those off a little bit, that's right, they're just in a salty brine. So again, you get lots of those salty flavours. Now with the anchovy, you can put 3, 4, 5 of these in. They're not that big, and they will break up, okay? So they're going to break up when you put them in. They're really kind of soft when they break up. We're going to go with all of them because it just, there's not too many in there. I won't put the sauce in there, okay? So just leave that kind of juice as is. And just kind of stir that through a little bit. Now the only other herbs I'll put in there will be just some, I won't do coriander. I'm just going to put some parsley in, kind of last minute. I'll put some parsley, don't overcook the parsley. And a tiny bit of oregano, okay? Again, don't over-herb it. Don't over-herb it because it does get a little bit kind of flavoursome already. And one last thing, you could chop up garlic, so I keep coming out of the camera. You could chop up garlic. We're just going to put 2 little teaspoons of already minced up garlic. Make it a lot easier for yourself. That's the whole concept of this dish. That it is a quick, fast dish that is literally doing the base, getting this in, just sort of cooking that through just a little bit. Don't overdo the chilli, because of course you can add that on later. We'll get that spaghetti. You could use some other type of pasta. I think spaghetti is the best because it really just sort of holds that all together. Nice long stringy bit of spaghetti. And the last thing, just while that's cooking in a bit, will be just some tomatoes, just canned tomatoes. You could do tomatoes, but you want to take a peel off them, so this is already done for us. So just a tin of Italian peeled tomatoes there, and becomes your base. And you might want to break those up a little bit. And then we're going to use just a tiny bit of the water from the pasta just to bring that in and give it kind of glazy as well. Look, just break those up a little bit. It's a pretty simple, quick dish. As the name suggests, it was something that was used for those that were on the working scene, those that understand Italian. You might want to look it up. What does puttanesca mean? And it's a southern Italian dish from southern parts around Naples, where it's originated from. So that's literally what you're doing there, and we will, as I said, we're going to bring in the just some of that parsley on top. I'll put just a couple of sprigs in now, just cut a couple of sprigs in, and then we can bring that on top, and then I'll grate in some Parmigiano at the end. So just a couple of sprigs there. Simple as that. You could pepper it. Remember, you've already got the chilli in there, so don't salt it. You've got lots of salt in there already. We'll just let that sit for a while. On a low heat, you'll see that it's not on a high heat. Just breaking some of those tomatoes up. And that's the dish. As I said, we'll cook that pasta, we'll bring some of that pasta water in, mix it all together, and that's that thing done. We'll see you soon. I reckon that's just about done. I'm giving that a little bit of a taste. Just, you don't want it too overdone, of course. You don't want pasta ever too overdone. They talk about that idea of al dente. So let's just bring that pasta in. Don't worry if you get some of that sauce in, because we are going to put some of that sauce in. We are going to put that water in there, and that's going to help kind of thicken up that sauce as well. So a couple of those. And as I said, we'll get some of that water out of there and we'll mix that through, and that becomes the spaghetti alla puttanesca. Let's have a look at that. Let's get a little bit of, just a bit of that pasta water. I've got those last bits of, don't overdo it with the pasta water, but it is nice to, kind of that salty. Let's have a look at that. Mix that through. And that, you can see that there, that's starting to bring that all together. Now I'm just going to plate this up with a bit of that focaccia bread, and I'm going to put some of the parsley, the chopped up parsley, and I'm also going to put in some the cheese here as well. So let's just do that, make it a bit easier. Break that in, and we'll serve some of that on top. And as I said, you can serve some of that chilli on it as well. I'll show you what this looks like, the last product.